Well, it looks like Hollywood has decided which side they're on as more and more people have come out today to speak out against Will Smith. And interestingly enough, Jim Carrey, somebody whose opinions I strongly dislike, who has acted like a complete jerk several times in his career, has just absolutely buried Will Smith on national TV, called Hollywood completely spineless. It was just an absolute beautiful thing to see from beginning to end. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's made a career now of writing about social justice, obviously a prolific basketball player, often writes about social justice, also got in line to paddle Will Smith. And it's been a pretty legendary thing to watch as the pressure on the Oscars to take his award away mounts. You see, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar says Will Smith, quote, perpetuated stereotypes about the black community by slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. This is something I talked about yesterday, where, you know, not my words, but the words of Shannon Sharp, who had said basically, hey, this is a thing. It's not a good, it's not a good thing. It's a disrespect thing. It has history with it. People used to do that, because when people viewed black folks as less, they would do this. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but you have, with a single petulant blow, he advocated violence, diminished women, insulted the entertainment industry, and perpetuated stereotypes about black community. Abdul-Jabbar writes of Smith, echoing the opinion expressed on Monday by his Today host, Craig Melvin, who was troubling on so many levels for men of color. I mean, yeah, I would imagine. Abdul-Jabbar argues that the incident was more than just a slap to Rock, but rather a slap to women. By hitting Rock, he announced that his wife is incapable of defending herself against words, he states. This patronizing paternal attitude infantilizes women and reduces them to helpless damsels needing a big, strong man to defend their honor, lest they swoon from the vapors. If he was really doing it for his wife and not his own need to prove himself, he might have thought about the negative attention this brought on them, much harsher than the benign joke. That would have been truly defending and respecting her. The women need men to defend them is the same thing as justification being currently proclaimed by conservatives passing a law to restrict certain other things, blah, 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 blah. What I really want to talk about is Bill Maher and Jim Carrey, both comedians, right? Bill Maher says Will's Chris slap was Twitter personified. So what Bill says is, him realizing Jada was more offended than he was and taking on her cause in the most outrageous way possible, going up and striking Chris, whom Bill defends to no end here, even calling him the hero of the day. Yeah. I mean, I would agree. Bill gives a play-by-play explaining that Will laughed at Chris Rock's G.I. Jane joke, at first apparently finding some humor in it, and so it would seem, but then changing his tune on a dime when looked to be in direct response of how Jada reacted, aka not well. It was then when Will got up and did what he did, which Bill says was a total overreaction, not dissimilar from what he believes a lot of Twitter justice warriors do on the daily. In his mind, a lot of folks might think something is funny at first privately, but then look around the room and realize they aren't allowed to actually feel that way, and then pivot accordingly, sometimes resulting in overblown indignation. Then we get to Jim Carrey, and if you're gonna criticize somebody for their takes and whatnot, then you've got to give them props when they do right. And I think Jim Carrey absolutely does excellent here, both calling out Hollywood's hypocrisy and spinelessness, but calling out Will Smith, saying he would, it was just excellent. Jim Carrey says, I would have sued Will Smith for $200 million over it. I agree. I said from the start, you may lose some street cred if you press charges and sue him, but that's a stain on Chris Rock's going to have to carry. It's a meme now. It's never going away. Jim Carrey would have had a much different reaction from Chris Rock. Speaking to Gayle King, I think she also did the R. Kelly interview? She did another famous interview. The actor said he would have immediately filed a hefty lawsuit against the Best Actor winner. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million, said Carrey. because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. That insult is going to last a very long time. The Dumb and Dumber star went on to say that he was appalled by the audience's seemingly positive reaction to the slap. I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation, he said. It felt like Hollywood is just spineless en masse, and it really felt like there is this clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore. Carrey believes the reason Rock has so far chosen not to press charges against Smith is because he doesn't want the hassle. He also says he thinks Smith could have found another way to show disapproval for the jab directed at his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, without putting his hands on the comedian. If you want to yell from the audience and disapprove or say something on Twitter or whatever, go ahead. You don't have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words. While King agreed with Carrey's statement, she also felt like the situation, quote, escalated. Now, this is something that I thought was really interesting, and I want to show you the video from it, because Jim Carrey wasn't having any of it. Let me go to that. I think it's like about here.
Because that video is going to be there from the audience. No, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
No, I agree. I think we all agree on that. I just thought, Jim, that it escalated to that, you know?
So she's pandering here to the people that think Will is justified. That's what, in my opinion, is happening. And I know there are people in my viewership that think Will is justified, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree on this. There's no reason to, like, get our undies in a bundle over it. But watch Jim. He, like, puts his drink down. He's like, hold on, I'll just show you. If you're watching, you'll see. If you're listening, you'll hear.
You know what I mean? That it escalated to that level.
It didn't escalate.
He's visually mad. He's like, listen, lady. No, it didn't.
It came out of nowhere because Will has something going on inside him that's frustrated, and I wish him the best.
Zing. But also 100% correct. Jim Carrey is alluding to the fact that Will Smith was publicly humiliated by his wife. I don't know why he stays with her at this point. Their kids are old enough now. And they're all independently wealthy. But Jim's right. As I talked to him, my buddy Jim. I strongly dislike Jim Carrey as a human, to be honest with you. I do think he does pretty good in Sonic. But you know, he's like, no, player, like, no, there was no escalation. There was no reason. Like, don't even bring that. Like, get that out of here. Will Smith is mentally broken because his wife humiliated him. And I feel bad for him, but that does not justify his behavior.
I really do. I don't, you know, I don't have anything against Will Smith. He's done great things. But that was not a good moment. It cast a pall over everybody's shine.
So he's just not having it. You know, Carrey argued the incident cast a pall over everybody's shining moment, especially those who worked really hard to finally take home a win. It was no mean feat to go through all the stuff I have to go through when you're nominated for an Oscar, he explained. It's a gauntlet of devotion that you have to do. It was just a selfish moment that cast a pall over the whole thing. Page Six previous reported that Smith, of course, rushed the stage. Yeah. I mean, you have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you have Jim Carrey coming out, you have, you know, Bill Maher, you have Joe Rogan also. If you look at what Joe said, the comedian podcast host Joe Rogan spoke out on the debacle during a recent episode with MMA artist Josh Barnett, where he notably called the ordeal a foolish impulse. I don't think that he was thinking that far ahead, Rogan said in response to Barnett. I think he was being emotionally fragile. He acted on impulse. I think it's a foolish impulse that you know when you know that you do when you know there's no consequences. And Joe's 100% right. Has Will Smith been arrested? No. Has he been fired from anything? No. Has he been disinvited from the Oscars or the Academy? No. Has he had to give his award back? No. So a few people memed on him on Twitter. What does he care? The guy's got $1 billion in the bank. He goes on. Chris Rock is doing his effing job, he continued. You don't go in and sit in front of in the front row. You're at the star at the Oscars. There's a professional comedian whose job it is to roast people. That's what he's there doing. And what he did wasn't even that insulting. It was a mild joke. He goes, I'm telling you, this is all rational thinking about an irrational act, Rogan argued. He was emotionally fragile and he acted on impulse in a staggeringly stupid way. Andrew Schulz also noticeably claimed that Chris Rock was soft. I don't agree with that. That's just dumb. That's a bad take. He's not soft. I mean, in that moment, Chris Rock could have ended his career by just going and saying, you could see even when Chris said, like, ooh, I could. But he didn't. He held back. Chris Rock was the bigger man there. 100%. He's not soft. I think that Chris Rock is going to make plenty of jokes about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. I think Will Smith is also physically imposing over Chris Rock. So what is he supposed to do? It's good to see Hollywood calling this out. It's sad that it took to see which way the wind blew before they did it, though. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.